Hey guys, welcome to the 3 a.m. podcast where we tell scary stories. My name's DJ.
My name's Charlie.
And my name is Sean.
And it's stimulus check day.
Hey.
Fun. Money. Give me monies. Thank you to everyone who's listened, but gone the extra mile and became a patron. That's the right verbiage. Thank you to all our patrons out there. We hope you're enjoying the bonus content. Weekly only starts at 8 quarters a month, folks. So,
Shout out Ikaika, Hiona, Dana, Mitch the Snitch, Eric Rodriguez. I think that's it. Lately.
Also, this dude named Ryan who became a patron and then unsubbed a few minutes after.
I saw that.
Just calling you out, bro. Make up your mind. All good. JK. How's everyone doing?
I'm good, man.
I'm also good. Like you said, it's stimulus day.
Yeah.
Did y'all get your checks?
Yeah, dude.
What do you... Oh, is that a new t-shirt? Did
Yeah,
you buy
dude.
that with your stimulus money?
Today. No, I seen it. It's the same material as those other ones that I really like because they're hella stretchy, bro.
All right, hit us. Who's got a question?
I got a question, but it was actually posed to all of our listeners on Instagram today.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to share some of our answers.
Oh, dope.
So we asked earlier today, what are some of your favorites right now? It's crazy times. I wanted everyone to think of what they appreciate still.
Favorites?
Favorites.
Just like anything?
Anything.
Oh.
Just like, what's getting you through the day?
What's getting you through the day? And share them with us because, we need some favorites too. So some of our answers came back. Bike rides.
Nice.
I like those too. 3 a.m., Tiger King, and Ozark.
What's the common denominator between those three?
Crazy people.
Joe Exotic over here.
Somebody answered hot bread from Outback. I see you.
Specific.
The
I
pumpernickel?
see you, dude. Another answer for memes.
Memes carried the previous decade single-handedly. It was like the one true constant.
Did I ever tell you, like, when I got home from living in Australia for 2 years and I was unplugged the whole time, so I wasn't, like, staying hip on whatever, and I get back and I'm asking my friend, like, yo, what's cool? Like, what's the new thing? And he's like, bro, dude, there's these things called memes. And I was like, okay, what's that? And he's like, dude, the funniest thing in the world. Okay, what is it, dude? Tell me. And he's like, okay, so, like, there's these pictures and they have words on them. No. I'm not explaining it. Think of like the guy from Willy Wonka, the Chocolate Factory, and he's like this, and it's like you say something, and he's like, "Oh, really? Tell me more." Yeah. And I was like, "Oh,
I missed out on
this sounds
heaps
great." Yeah.
in the past 2 years.
And then slowly they became my life and humor. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got the same thing after. I'm sure you did too.
Oh, yeah.
After being in the Philippines, unplugged for 2 years, coming back.
Came back
Memes
to
and
memes.
Instagram.
It's true. Yeah.
Instagram was like, my friend, she brought it to me. She's like, you post pictures?
and that's it.
And silence.
Like, where's your profile song? What do you?
Who's
Where's
your top 5?
Yeah. Where's Tom?
With the whole like meme thing, I have younger siblings, and now that I'm like 30, I'm hella out of the loop, and they're like way more cool than me, so they're talking about stuff. And when they're talking about memes and things, it's like, dude, I was there for the beginning.
I don't know if it's just because I'm biased, but I swear our generation of like late 20s and early 30s truly saw the middle between old world and new world
Oh yeah, 100%.
technology.
I remember dial up.
Oh,
internet.
yeah.
I remember phone books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember calling
Landlines.
from payphones.
Yeah.
Like being stuck somewhere, like at the mall, and calling my mom on 1-800-COLLECT.
Bro,
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
MapQuest, dog.
Oh yeah, dude. My dad still uses
And
MapQuest.
did you print them out? Take them with you?
Yeah.
That was revolutionary at the time.
Oh yeah, you could find your way around.
You had to kill like 15 trees to go to like the supermarket. So you had to pin out like 67 pages.
And then it's like a CVS receipt where it still has the 20 different things after.
Wow.
Anyway.
You're right though.
Being bored.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Not having options. You had like 2 things to watch.
Now we have every option, but we're still bored.
Yeah. Sure. Hit me with us some more.
So somebody answered on my block.
Yo, I like that one.
I'm about that one as well.
a good show.
Somebody answered the devil's lettuce. That's getting
I know
some
who that
people
is.
through the days too.
I know who you are.
What is that?
Yeah, what?
It's like
Okay, stop. There's no way we could have made that funnier.
it's like
Have you ever been to Dare class?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Also, somebody answered with a question in it as well. He said, "Oh, and going back to the topic of candy, I love Airheads. Thoughts?"
I'll be honest. I think Airheads are doo-doo caca.
Nah, dude. If you remember Halloween, we had a huge barrel of candy here in the studio.
I do remember.
Maybe like, I don't know, $80 worth of candy at least.
Mm-hmm.
But I was doing a number on those Airheads. When you whack them back and forth, make them a pillow.
Oh, dude.
No? Or you twist them.
Twist
Multicolored.
it, bop it.
Damn.
I didn't know there was like a hidden menu for Airheads.
Secret menu.
Yeah. That's crazy. Cheat codes for your Airheads.
What
They're
were you going
like-
to say?
I was gonna say I have with Airheads, but like it's like the 10th to the 15th thing I'll pick in terms of candy.
That's what I'm saying.
I think it's more nostalgic to me, and I definitely would pick 10 more things before Airheads.
Oh, okay, I see you.
Yeah. They're not like bad. Like I'll
Yeah,
eat an Airhead, but I eat everything else before it.
I think I've said this before, but chocolate over any type of candy.
I'm a chocolate over like fruity stuff.
Yeah.
Same.
Like when it gets all stuck in your teeth and whatnot, it's not my favorite.
No.
But there's a few though,
Dude, life's hard, bro.
like Gushers.
Life can be tough, man.
True. But to kind of wrap that up, I want to pose the question to you guys. What's your favorite right now? Like, what's getting you through the day? What do you look forward to? I'll start off. Because I've been thinking about
You had
this
some
already.
time to think. Yeah.
Bro, what's getting me through the day is when the sun comes out and I can just go outside.
Ooh.
Just like get some sunshine, go for a little run, even though I hate myself at the same time.
I saw a tweet a couple days ago. It was something like, I went outside the other day, and because it's illegal, it just hits different. The sun hits different now that it's illegal. Yeah, that's what it is.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, that's definitely getting me through the days, though. Like being cooped up inside, just like getting outside for a second.
Well, the other thing is, if y'all didn't know, and I know for a fact y'all didn't know, but Sean has a goal to be completed by when?
Well, ideally, July is when I've goaled it for.
July, to run 100 miles in a week. So, how's that going?
Well, I'm on 37 miles this week, and I'm only supposed to go up by 10% from the previous week.
Which was?
33.
Oh, we're already
Yeah, so
we're already there.
up to 37.
Just do nothing the rest of the week.
Yeah, no. But so far, so good. No injuries as of yet.
Nice. That's wild. I hate running.
Favorites for me, Animal Crossing right now. If you want to follow me, my gamer tag is HP Inkjet69. Let's trade some bells. Let's trade some clothing.
Some clams, apparently.
No, just got it a few days ago, so I'm still very much a noob. I don't know, a few albums.
Bro, we walk into the studio and DJ's like, guys, I have to show you the fish I caught. Pulls out his little Nintendo Switch and shows us his little Animal Crossing character. pull a fish out of it, and I was like, oh. But it made him happy, so it made me happy.
Thanks for indulging me, guys.
You guys tell me if I should put this on air. But I illegally went on a road trip.
Wow,
Do you think
dude.
that's chill to say?
Wow, dude.
I think that's fine.
Okay, here's what's happened. Me and my wife are quarantined. So we've been in our house for the last month. And we get into a car and we drive 11 hours to Oregon to hang out with my wife's mom and dad, my in-laws,
Who are also on
who
quarantine.
are also quarantining. So it was
Seems
like,
fine to me.
Huh, part of the problem.
yeah. Dude, honestly, on the road, we passed like 600 signs. It was like, stay home, save lives. I'm like, fuck, damn it. But whatever. You can judge me if you want, but we thought we're adults and we assessed the situation and found it to be A-okay.
Okay.
We weren't putting anyone in danger. We wore masks. We wore gloves when I was filling up gas. Anyway, so I've been in Oregon for the last week, and every morning I would wake up and the sun was shining and the birds were singing, and it was like 65 to 70 outside, and I'd go and just sit in the sun, dude, because it's been winter in Utah, and the sun has been real finicky.
Yeah, Jordan
Real
just
fickle.
posted on his story on his personal Instagram that it's snowing in Montana right now.
And it's almost like 4th of July.
Yeah.
It's almost there, dude.
So yeah, it was awesome. Oregon was great. In-laws are great. I'm really lucky to have good in-laws, so not everyone can say that. I don't know. That's mine. Family.
Nice. Nice.
All right. I have a question. See if you guys like it. What's the coolest thing you found?
Bro, one time I found a $20 bill.
Where, how, when?
It was on the ground.
It was in quarters in my mom's purse.
No, it was at the gym. It was just on the ground. I looked at it, looked around, picked it up, held it in my hand for a solid another minute, 30 seconds probably, looking around, and then no one said anything, so I put it in my pocket. You know that ethical question they always ask you?
Yeah.
I done that in real life.
Yeah. Sounds like I lived it.
I'm sure there's a better answer, but the one that comes to mind right now is when everyone came to Hawaii and we went on the hike to the watershed. So I guess you can't say it was really found because I knew about it, but it's like 10 minutes away from my house, but I've never been there.
That still counts.
So it wasn't like a brand new discovery as far as I've never knew about it previously, but I don't know. We all went and it was way better than any of us expected. Super beautiful. It's by, if you've ever heard of the Stairway to Heaven hike, if you like hiking, you've probably heard of it, but it's in that valley.
Mm-hmm.
Super beautiful. And when we went, it rained the night before. So when we got to the watershed, it's this huge abandoned building. And
In the jungle.
Yeah. Just green. And we climbed to the top and we had a view of the whole valley and we could see all the way out to the ocean. But I think it was still kind of raining up in the mountaintops.
So it was like waterfalls off the
There were
mountain.
almost 30 waterfalls in every direction you would turn. So,
Bro, that
was
whole
fun.
time I thought you had been there before.
Mm-mm.
Bro.
But there's the freeway.
Yeah.
If you're from Hawaii, the H3, taking that, you see the building. And once in a while, I'd see people on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
So growing
You
up,
knew
I
it
was
was possible.
yeah,
That's dope. It was way cool.
that was fun.
All right. Craziest thing I've ever found is also low-key a miracle. Miracle story.
Jesus.
I found God. No. So when I was 16, my friends say, bro, there's a festival in San Francisco. You got to come with. I'm like, why? Who's playing? Black Star, Sage Francis, Rage Against the Machine, and the Wu-Tang Clan, and Cypress Hill, and 60 other people. And I was a huge fan of Rage Against the Machine in high school. So I was like, I'm there. Didn't tell my parents. Ran away. Went to San Francisco. Had a hotel with 10 people. And it was the craziest concert I've ever been in my life. I think over 10,000 people. It was insane. Shut down San Francisco afterward, right? Rage Against the Machine was like fight the power. 10,000 people flood San Francisco, shut it down. It was like a mile long, people going down roads, and you'd hear like, and then everyone would just be screaming and climbing things, and like it was anarchy. Several people I was with took mushrooms, and one of them had a very bad trip, so he had to leave halfway through the show. So at one point, I'm like the caretaker of everyone. I go to find him.
How's it 9 o'clock? The sky is blue.
I got it. So I go to find him, and he's near the porta potties that are set up at this festival. And I'm like, oh, I'm here. I might as well go to the bathroom. So I take like 15 steps toward the porta potty, and the ground is soaked in urine and feces that I sink in.
Ew!
And my shoes are completely soaked in piss and shite. And I was sad. So during the revolution in San Francisco,
I was sad.
I took my shoes off and just like tied them a knot in the string, and I threw it over like a line. But I was like, I'm in San Francisco for like 2 or 3 more days without shoes. I'm effed. And so we went back to the hotel. I slept. I'm seriously stressing. I'm like, I don't have shoes. And I didn't have money, so I can just go buy shoes.
You're in high school. So.
Yeah, I was poor AF. No shoes. I'm like, this is great. I'm going to have to walk around like a bum. So I wake up in the morning. I'm seriously stressing still. I'm talking to my friend. I'm like, I seriously don't know what to do. Like, no one's brought shoes. We get in the elevator. Door closes. Goes down. I'm like, man, I honestly don't know what to do. Door opens of the elevator. And sitting in front of us on the ground is a pair of reef sandals that are like this. And I'm literally standing at the door, and I look down, and I just slip my left foot in. I slip my right foot in, and I walk away, and I was like...
And you turn yourself about.
And all my friends are like... And we just like look around. There's no one there. There's no one in the hall.
Someone just disappeared.
God
and left
bless me
sandals.
with perfect pair of reef sandals. I don't understand to this day what happened. Why would that happen? And they were like placed so perfectly. I just stepped into them and walked away.
Yeah, it's like you walk.
I
you
did.
Don't skip a.
I didn't
skip a step at all.
I don't know how to explain it. It's truly one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me. That's like my glitch in the Matrix story.
Oh,
Bro.
wow.
Someone was like, all right, here's some sandals.
Truly blessed.
I know. I kept them for a really long time.
And rage you did.
Yeah. And flip-flops.
Nice, dude.
Anyway, that's one of the coolest things I've ever found.
That's pretty dope.
That's fun. Hit it.
And now we roll our 20-sided die to see who tells stories in what order. Highest goes first.
1.
Okay.
15.
2.
I'm going first.
Okay.
Perfect.
And then Charles and then me.
All right. Got a couple stories for you tonight. The first one comes from one of our listeners.
Hey.
Ooh, name?
Name J Corbin 18.
Oh, I've seen her around.
So you can go check out her
I
Instagram.
seen that.
But
Jess?
yep.
Is that thank you, Jess.
yeah, Jess.
Shout out.
And this experience came from her sister, who used to live up in Logan, Utah.
Whoa.
So it's pretty close to home. So first of all, shout out Jess. Thanks for the story. What happened? So they all live up in Logan. Or her sister, Sydney, and a couple of friends, they decide that they're going to go camping one night. They head up this canyon called Green Canyon close to Logan, Utah. Now, it was Sydney, Jess's sister, and 2 of her friends, who she named M and K. So they head up in 2 different cars, and they get to like kind of this end point within the canyon where there's a campground or like a bunch of different camping spots that you could stop at. And they go all the way to the back. It sounds like it's kind of like a loop where it would kind of loop around and go back out. So they stop near the back of this canyon and kind of go off of the road just a little bit, like a good 50 yards to set up their camp. They set up camp, and this is kind of 9 o'clock in the summer. So it's kind of still a little bit light out. But while they're like headed up here, all of a sudden they see like this bright flash of light. And it's not stormy out. There's no clouds or anything. So they're in the two cars, and Sydney, I guess, calls M and was like, "Did you see that?" They both saw it. So like both of them saw this thing happen. And it kind of freaks them out, but they just continue. It was like maybe it was a rogue lightning bolt or something like that. They don't know. So they set up camp. They have a couple of their friends that are coming, though.
It was do you know if it was like a flash in the sky or if it was like a flash from like a single source, like a flashlight?
It sounded like a flash from a single source.
Okay.
Because they didn't see like a lightning bolt. That's why they're like, maybe it was something that was out of our view, and that's what it was. But that's what it sounded like. So they set up camp. They have a couple of their friends that are supposed to be coming, but they're still a little bit late. They end up talking to them on the phone, and they're about a half hour away still. Now, they've strategically set up their campsite so that they could see like the entrance to these campsites, where you could see a car coming up the canyon or leaving the canyon, so that they could like see their friends coming. It starts to get a little bit darker, and all of a sudden, they see this car coming up the canyon. Now, it's not been a half hour since they talked to their friends, so they're pretty sure that it's not them. But they're like, okay, well, other campers, like, this is a bunch of different campsites, they'll probably stop somewhere else. Now, this car comes up the canyon and comes around to where their cars are at and kind of just stops and then turns off the lights. Now, at this point, it's dark, so they can't really see the truck that apparently has just pulled up is just beyond where the firelight gets.
Are you scared at this point?
Me? I'm more like not really scared because I'm thinking of like maybe it's another camper who's lost,
Couple making out.
or someone who's just trying to like find a campsite. I don't know. Like I'm not creeped out just yet. And they said that they weren't really creeped out just yet either. But when they flipped off the lights, all of a sudden it just kind of went silent. So they could hear just the crackling of the fire and the rumbling of the engine of the truck. Then this truck kind of pulls up a little bit further closer towards where their cars are at and then flicks off the engine. So they've stopped the car now. And like I was saying, they can't see the truck or who's in it.
They just hear it inching closer.
Well, at this point, they hear it turn off.
Yeah.
And the thing is, though, that whoever is in this truck can definitely see them because they're all around this campfire, just illuminated for them to see.
Mm-hmm.
So M kind of speaks up and yells at the truck and is like, "Hey, how's it going? Do you need any help or anything?" No answer. And after a couple of seconds, they see the door open because it's kind of illuminated by the little light that's inside the truck. They see a dark figure kind of slip outside the truck, close the door. Light goes off. So for another second, it's silent. And in another second, they kind of speak up again. It's like, "Hey, can we help you?" No answer. And it's just silent now with the crackling of the fire. They can't hear whoever it was walking around. Then after a couple more seconds, they see the back of the SUV kind of pop up and like the inside light go on again. And then the door closes and they hear a click. Now, at this point, they're freaking out. No one's answering them. They know someone's out there. So they kind of rush to the car, to M's car. They all get in and he kind of like pulls back a little bit towards this other car and leans out the window and is like, "Hey, do you need help?" No answer. And now they can't see anyone around this other vehicle either. So they kind of talk amongst themselves briefly, really quickly, and they decide we need to get out of here. But we can't just leave our fire going. We have to
Put it out, you fools.
We have to put it out. And Sydney, Jess's sister, was like, "I don't want to leave my truck here either, so I want to grab my truck." So they decide this, and all of a sudden they jump out of the car, run to the campsite, like put out the fire, grab as much stuff as they can, and run back to the vehicles.
Now you're in the dark with this fool.
Now they're in the dark. And they jump in the cars. M takes his car or truck a little bit closer to where Sydney's is, lets her get out, and she jumps in her car. And then all of a sudden they peel out and start leaving the canyon. Once they get out of the canyon, and it sounded like Sydney was in the car by herself because she kind of had some time to think about like what had just happened. But once they get out of the canyon, they get to a gas station, and they get out and they start talking amongst each other. And they call the other friends as well that were on their way.
That's what I was saying. I was like, dude, call your friends, dog.
So, yeah. They call their other friends as well, and they're like, hey, don't come up. We're coming back down. But they get out of the car and start talking. And Sydney, I guess, in Jess and Sydney's family, they're hunters, and like they have firearms around the house and stuff like that. And it occurs to Sydney that the click that they heard was the sound of a magazine being loaded into a gun. And then one of the other friends, Kay, was like, hey, I didn't want to say anything while we were still up there, but when we ran to go and put out the fire and get all of our stuff, I saw someone watching us in the bushes. So they all get into one car at this point. We're going to leave this car, and we're just going to all go together. We'll come back for it later. They head back down home and meet up with their other friends, and they tell their parents as well, and their parents were like, you should probably call like non-emergency hotline or something like that.
Yeah.
But to this point, they never knew what it was. And the strange thing too was the light that they'd seen flash before coming up in the canyon. It occurred to her at that point, maybe it was that of a gunshot, because it was kind of getting dark at this point where they would have seen something like that, or like, I don't know, explosion or something. I don't know. But they all made it out alive.
And then M was like, when we were running the car, you had a red dot on your chest. Those stories to me are like the scariest, but also like the most blue ball in a way. It's like it could have been the worst, and we'll never know. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it could have been just an elderly dude who lost his wife, who wanted to spread the ashes of his wife on a quiet hill where they first met for a first date. Or
it could have been some dude loading a magazine into his gun, was going to shoot him,
cut him up in his kitchen, and make lampshades with their skin.
Either way, whoever it was being hella creepy.
Yeah.
Like someone's calling out to you and you're just not answering.
Yeah, that's definitely malintent.
That's what it seems like to me, yeah. And then like staying hidden, bruh.
Also like
sus mode 1000.
Unspoken rule, but especially amongst like hunters and outdoors people, it's just like you make yourself known. You know what I mean? You like make others aware you're in their space.
Wear
I'm in
bright
your
colors
space.
and communicate.
Yeah, usually you'd holler over and like wave, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it is when you said they were hunters, they were campers. I kind of had got that feeling from them. If they're like a group of young people going to camp on their own, and it must have been pretty scary for them to decide to leave.
Yeah, because you would have been...
Usually you hear a ton of things out there.
Yeah.
And to make that call, to pack everyone up.
Well, and I believe that Kay had a gun in her car as well.
Packing.
So, like, they were prepared, and they still had to get out of there. Well, the other thing is they also lost whoever it was that was in the vehicle because they couldn't see him once they backed up towards that other car. So, yeah, that's terrifying in and of itself. But like the creepy thing to me too is how often does this kind of thing happen and then we get out safe?
Because when you don't realize, or
when you don't realize, or you get that feeling. Because what comes to my mind is that one time when we were down in Hobble Creek Canyon.
Yeah,
bro, that was mostly between you two, but like all of us were down to just leave when you guys got that feeling. To all of our listeners, we were down in Hobble Creek Canyon one time, and Charlie and Deej both got this creepy feeling to get out of there.
It doesn't sound really crazy when I tell it, because it's really just it's like one of those, it's like you had to be there. But I remember like how palpable it was. Like I couldn't shake like the feeling. And the fact that Charles and I got it at the same time and we both looked at each other. In fact, I had a recent experience with my girlfriend. Not a bad feeling about her, but
like I don't know. I don't know. Who's in the studio tonight?
Sitting in the background.
Shout out Mal.
But since quarantine has been happening, one of our favorite things to do is just to go on drives.
Nice.
Just explore, like drive to the canyon or drive to the lake, and
Dope.
just not even go to somewhere specific. Just drive with nowhere in
See
mind.
what happens.
Yeah, see what happens.
I mean, with gas prices, like, you're good.
Can't afford
gas
not
right
to,
now
bro.
is so cheap, it's crazy. But we were in a town called Salem,
Mass?
which is
Maine?
about a half an hour south of Provo. And it was like 2 a.m. And we're driving through these super nice neighborhoods, big houses, and we're driving deeper and deeper into the mountains. And maybe 10 months ago, there was a huge fire there, and it lasted like 2 days.
Yeah.
And I remember
Like, people had to evacuate. It was big.
and we were in that exact area. In fact, all the houses had walls of sandbags. Like, that was their protection
Damn.
from the fire, if you could call it that. But we're just looking around. All the trees are dead, and it's also like the end of winter when we were on this drive. All the trees are dead, and we see this small road that looks like a canyon road, but it's tiny, and the pavement wasn't smooth. It was like old pavement. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it looked like there's like a lot of potholes and whatnot. And we went in, no street lights. It was almost pitch black. And as soon as we went in, immediately, and I'm not one to get scared at things like this, especially if I'm in my car, and neither is my girlfriend. But as soon as we went down this road, we both said to each other, no, this is not good. Like,
Wow.
we shouldn't be here. So we immediately turned around and left.
Have you seen a scary movie? That was probably a good move.
But I couldn't shake it.
And because of it, you're here with us today.
Who
Could be,
knows? And actually, a few weeks later, we went back, but during the daytime
Smart.
on another one of our drives. Nothing. We couldn't find anything. But
Dang, dude. That's pretty creepy, though. Like, getting that same feeling at the same time. Like, same thing that you and Charles had that one time. That's what kind of creeps me out. Like, the close calls where you get the feeling, but we have stories like this. We also have stories that aren't like this, where that person probably didn't follow that feeling.
100% of the time, if it's more than me, I'm acting on it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if another person in the group is like, bro, I don't know, then I'm like, all right, we're done. Let's go.
yeah, I like that.
It's like,
That's a good rule we have.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
But thank you, Jessica, for the story. I have another one. Also out in the woods.
Perfect.
It is based around an old Cherokee legend
Hells yeah.
and a camper who allegedly had an encounter. For our patrons, you'll hear this story.
Bonus story or episode this week.
There you
So-
go.
So for everyone just listening, that means I'm up. But for our patrons, sit tight.
Have either of you heard of anything called a wampus cat?
I'm up. Sean,
Yo.
what is the call of the void?
Oh, okay. The call of the void is when you're standing at the top of a cliff and you get the urge to just jump. Or when you're just driving down the freeway and see a median and just have the urge to swerve right into the median. Essentially, it's the call of death.
And this happens to people who aren't suicidal, who are completely sane, and they can't explain it. Almost like a small voice telling them to do that.
I have had the call of the void before.
I mean, I've had things where it's like, I wonder what it would be like if you just, and you're like, no, what do I, what,
Yeah,
what are you
no,
talking
what
about?
do you-
Stop. Stop, I don't want to die. Jeez. Okay. So, I got a lot of my information about the topic I'm going to talk today about from a couple different things, and I'll cite that at the end. But we're going to talk about the Modoc and the Klamath Native Americans.
Okay. Oh, okay. We going up into Oregon, Pacific Northwest, bro.
Yeah. Damn. How'd you know that? You're too good. Okay. Over 7,000 years ago, there was a great battle between two gods. One was the god of the below, and one was the god of the above. The god of the above was named Skell, and he was god of everything light and beautiful. And there was another god named Lao, who was the god of everything dark and everything bad. Lao was a huge mountain, and he looked on the Klamath Native Americans and saw the daughter of the Klamath chief and fell in love with her. And he approached her, and she turned him down and shunned him because he was ugly and from the below. And this angered Lao so much that he vowed to destroy all the Klamath and Modoc people. So he started to rain down fire and ash over all the land. And so he would spew, the mountain started to spew ashes and literally blacked out the world for several days in fire and rock. Now the Klamath people and the Modoc people cried unto Scale to protect and save them. And he took pity on them. And he started to go to battle with Lao. So a huge battle ensued. And it raged on. And during the battle, two of the Klamath Native American shaman, in order to save the rest of their people, offered themselves up as sacrifice, ran up the mountain, and hurled themselves into the volcano. And doing that, Scale was compelled to fight even harder and smashed Lao so hard down into the earth. There was a huge eruption, explosion, madness, fire. When it all cleared, there was a huge crater. And this crater was so enormous. And Scale wanted to make it a place of beauty and remembrance, filled it with water and snow. And this whole crater fills with water. And all you can see, he pulled out Lao's heart, chopped them all up, but he left his head. And so in the middle of this big, gigantic lake, you can see the top of Lao's head in the middle with a crater on top of the mountain. Now this place was viewed by the Native Americans as a passageway between hell and heaven, the below, the above. And Scale was the devil, and Lao was the devil, and this is basically where he's trapped. So if you want to communicate with him, this is where you go. This place is held in the highest reverence by the Native Americans. You're not even supposed to go there unless you yourself are emotionally, spiritually prepared. So men would make this Mecca up to this beautiful lake, and they'd stare into the water, and they'd come back with honor and wisdom to share with everyone. But they also are very, very hesitant because this is the passageway to the below. And so they are very skeptical and hesitant about visiting this place.
Yeah, they don't want to be near it.
If you're not prepared to go, they say that the waters can put you in a trance and they will lead you away down to destruction. So, what lake am I talking about, Sean?
Is that the Crater Lake?
It is indeed.
Nice.
So Crater Lake, Oregon, Southwest Oregon. The reason I'm talking about this is I was hanging out with my wife's cousin's husband, Brenton. Shout out Brenton and Dom. And we were chatting, and he's from Oregon. And like any conversation I'm always ever in, scary stories come up. And Brenton goes, "Bro, have you heard about Crater Lake?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "I will never go there." And that's the sentiment of a lot of people. Like a lot of people who know the history and the going-ons of Crater Lake legitimately are hesitant going there. So Crater Lake has gone through many, many names, a ton of different names, and it only became Crater Lake later on. The mountain that used to be there, that used to be Lao, was a 12,000-foot mountain that is no longer there because it exploded. It is the deepest lake in North America. It's almost 2,000 feet deep. Up until like recent history, they legitimately thought it was without end. They didn't think there was a bottom. There's no streams that lead to it or away from it. This causes like the distinct clarity in the water. Like when people see it, they legitimately are like mind blown because the water's so clear, so blue, calm. They don't understand like how it can be. And it's home to a couple of interesting physical landmarks. So in researching this subject, I'm just going to brush the top because there's so effing much. There's Bigfoot, UFOs, murders, kidnappings, suicides, lights, spirits, hauntings, ghosts, Native American folklore, literally everything about this place. So we're just going to touch a couple. So first thing that is weird about the Crater Lake is something they call the Old Man of the Lake. And what the Old Man of the Lake is a log that floats in the lake, which isn't too weird, except this log floats perfectly vertical. It never gets stuck. It never beaches. And they don't understand why it does that. So it's about 35 feet long. Back in like the 1800s, some geologists or like scientists became like super obsessed with studying this thing and tracked its movements. And he said it doesn't follow a pattern and it can travel up to 4 miles a day just around the lake. And the legend is that it is the guard of the lake. It guards the portal to the below. So a couple hundred years ago, I don't quite know how long ago, but it was a really long time ago, scientists wanted to study the lake further. They wanted to put in a submarine into the craters so they could, or into Crater Lake so they could like go around. But they were worried that the Old Man of the Lake would be a hazard. So they got it and they tied it up near the second feature that we'll talk about, which is Wizard Island. So they tie it up. They're getting ready to start their exploration. The second they tie up the Old Man of the Lake, huge storm clouds form over the lake out of nowhere. And these scientists are baffled. And it literally is just around the lake. Have you ever been there, any of you? Sean has?
Yeah.
Oh! Mal's been there.
I have not, but I've heard about Crater Lake, and I've heard about the Old Man of the Lake as well, actually.
So Crater Lake, stunningly beautiful. So these clouds form over the lake. They freak out. They know it shouldn't make sense, but they get a feeling to untie the old man. They untie him. Clouds go away. Who knows? Wizard Island. The Klamath Native Americans believed that Wizard Island is the location where souls are banished. So once your soul is banished there, you take the form of a salamander with wings. And that's where they stay. So a lot of different sightings on Wizard Mountain have happened. There was a park ranger who was driving her truck and she sees a fire with 10 people standing around it. And it was outside of the designated campgrounds area. So she pulls over, she can see the fire, parks her car, gets out of her car, starts walking towards these fires, and they're all gone. Fire's completely gone. So she runs up. There was like 10 people around there. No one's there. This spooks her out, so she jumps behind a tree, calls a partner, and listens. Two other rangers come out and they search the whole area. There's no signs of humans and no signs of fire at all. Like not even the smell. A lot of the times the rangers say they'll look out onto Wizard Island and they'll see a fire on Wizard Island with no smoke. Like no smoke's coming up. Just a random small fire. Okay. I think there's been 2 reports of Bigfoot being killed. Both of them were at Crater Lake. One of them was a car accident. It was reported that the rangers had been chasing a large primate that smelt terrible, and it had gotten hit by a car, and that they had a body. But unknown government officials showed up and quickly took the body. So like that's one, it's like all cited. The other one, there was a large primate looking thing that gets hit by a train, but the guy conducting the train didn't report it for like a week because he was intoxicated at the time. So by the time they got back, the body was gone and been cleaned out by like animals and things. Okay. Those are all, there's like 1,000 weird things. People are legitimately afraid of this place. Like some people will not go there. Back In 1975, there was a kid named Charles McCuller, something like that. I don't know. Sorry, bro. Anyway, he tells his parents, hey, he's an amateur photographer. So he's like, I'm going to go get these amazing shots. It's snowing, jumps in his car, heads over to Crater Lake. Never to be seen again. So they send people out to find him, can't find him. Very sad. A while later, hikers are hiking along a ridge and they look down into a valley and they see someone just like leaning against a tree. And they think it's weird. So they tell the rangers come back, they're looking down and they see this person leaning against a tree. Well, they go down to inspect, and what they find, they simply can't explain. It's Charles's body, the photographer, except his clothes were set up in a way that it looked like he was there, except he was missing all of his body except for his feet. Those were the only body parts there. There was no skull, no bones, no blood, no flesh.
Just his feet.
Just his feet. And his clothes set up in a way that made it look like he was leaning against a tree. His camera was there. He had like expensive stuff there. All his gear was there. All his clothes was there.
Do you know if his feet were like...
I think they were exposed. And so his shoes were gone. And that's why they thought it was weird and it wasn't an animal, because animals like don't mess with shoes. They have no reason to like mess with your shoes.
Did he have
Or
like
put up clothes on a tree.
unusually large feet?
I don't think so.
Like maybe big feet?
You're grounded.
Dude, you're really into feet, huh?
So all of that's whatever. Makes me feel...
I would drown myself in the lake if I was one of those rangers, dude.
I'll be right back. Give me a minute.
I'm going to visit my friend. What's his name?
Lau.
Wow.
DJ, it's funny you say that.
Oh, shit.
Because the most truly terrifying experience about this lake, the scariest thing about this lake is its call of the void and the countless examples of suicide at this lake. So many people who everyone describes as loving life, having nothing wrong, not a care in the world, hiking down the path, turn, walk right into the forest, shoot themselves in the head. Happens all the time.
Shoot themselves in the head?
Uh-huh. The scariest one is a story about Mr. Cornelius. And this has multiple witnesses.
Dude, fudge me up.
1974. Mr. Cornelius and his wife, happy couple, happy marriage, are hiking along when Mr. Cornelius freezes in his tracks and slowly turns to look at the shimmering beauty of the lake. His wife tries to get his attention. What's going on? What's happening? What are you doing? You stopping? He ignores everything. Later, she says it was like he was legitimately in a trance and nothing was break his focus. Mr. Cornelius reaches into his shirt, takes his stuff out. He's like taking his wallet and things like that, and calmly sets them on the ground by his wife. She's like, what are you doing? Freaking her out. He then walks to the ledge and jumps off in front of his wife. Obviously, she screams. She runs to the edge to see what happened to her husband, and he's fallen down this cliff. But he's alive. So she looks over the edge at her husband, screaming, I'm sure, only to see his broken body. He's grabbing the ground and drags himself into the lake, where he drowns. So he kills himself by dragging his broken body into the lake. Hiker saw it. The wife saw it. No explanation. Only that something happened to him as if he was in a trance, and he leapt off the cliff and killed himself. That experience isn't unique. There's like a list of suicides that are like that, where they'll be hiking. People say one person in the group just stops, turns, and jumps on a cliff. Like there's a guy who they won't release his name. It's like kind of recent. He rented snowshoes and he's like, I'm going to do the rim. And they follow his tracks. His tracks go along the rim. They stop, they turn, and then they're gone. There's no more tracks. So they assume he must have fallen down like the 1,000-foot cliff. They search the whole area, climbers, skilled climbers, all the rangers. They can't even find his snowshoes. They search the lake. They like do scuba diving. Nothing. He's like disappeared. And there's like a whole long list. There was a really sad one about a mom taking a photo with her kids. And I can't remember who, so I'm literally just telling it off memory. But I think one of her kids just turned and jumped, like while they were taking a family photo.
That's dark, dude.
So I'm barely scratching the surface with Crater Lake. If you guys have any stories out there, please throw them to us. If anyone's going to visit Crater Lake, just keep a close eye on your loved ones. If anyone's acting weird.
That's terrifying, dude.
The imagery of his broken body just like
Grabbing himself and dragging himself in the lake. Yeah,
and his
dude.
wife just being like, "What are you doing?"
What's in the air there? What's in the water?
I don't know. Apparently beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It's like stunningly beautiful.
Deceptively beautiful.
I don't know, man. I don't know. But there are some people who like won't go there. They're like, "Nope, I refuse." It's just one of those places.
Dude, hearing that sometimes is almost enough. Like if you didn't tell all the stories following when your cousin was telling you, dude, I will not go there.
Yeah. I know that for some reason that warning, I was like, "Ooh."
Yeah, especially from him, because he doesn't seem like he's someone who's superstitious
Nope.
or like is scared really in any way.
Mm-hmm. So to hear him talk about this, he was passionate. But yeah. Anyway, that's me tonight.
That's fun. Thanks, man. Ready to close this off with the last little bit of stories? All right, so this first one, a little bit of backstory. My girlfriend's father passed away of cancer when she was 7 or 8. So pretty young, but over time, I guess, as sad as it was, and as much as it hit their family, having a single mother for a few years until she married again, and everything kind of coming back to somewhat normal. As sad as all of that was, her and her siblings are still able to kind of like make jokes about it. Like they'll make dead dad jokes pretty frequently. And I guess that's
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I feel like all of us in this group at the very least tolerate dark humor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That's
I
true.
think it's part coping mechanism, part optimism.
Yeah.
Part actually have dark humors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things in each of our lives that like are very dark or things we've been through. And as a testament to how like good of our friendship is, we make fun of each other for them.
Mm-hmm. Like we said before, it's for us and our friend group, it's brought us closer to know each other's secrets and be comfortable enough to not only talk openly about it, but bag on each other about it. And it's all, I think, in good timing. You know, there's time and place for everything. So with that being said, about maybe a month and a half ago, we were hanging out at my girlfriend's place. We invited some friends over to come and watch a movie. And one of our really good friends brought over one of their friends who we've never met before. She seems pretty cool. She's talking. And all of a sudden, our mutual friend, the close one, says to my girlfriend while pointing at the friend she brought, "Hey, her dad died too. You guys would probably get along." Knowing, no, I'll giving her
Connection, right?
giving her the space. She knows like the humor. She knows we're close enough where she's also making these jokes.
That's still ballsy.
It's pretty ballsy, but there was no offense taken from either of the girls. So they're cool. They're cool with each other and they actually kind of connect. So successful connection made.
It's like OK Cupid for lost ones or something.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Widowers only. Or widows only. So my girlfriend says to this new girl, she says at first, "I'm sorry to hear about that." And the new girl says, "Oh, that's totally fine. It happened a long time ago." She says, how did your dad die?" To my girlfriend.
Good hell. I would be like, I need to go to the bathroom.
And my girlfriend says cancer. And my girlfriend returns the question, says, how did your dad die? And the whole room is just like silent, listening into this conversation. But they're both fine, so we're all trying to be fine too. And the new girl says, well, do you want the truth or do you want to lie?
What an intriguing way to state that.
I know. And she's all smiles. And my girlfriend says, whatever you're most comfortable with. And she doesn't say if she's telling the truth or the lie, but she continues to just tell the story, tell a story. And she says, well, my dad got stabbed in the back 50 times. And we're sitting there. It's pretty tense. Obvious elephant in the room. And somebody asks, so was that the truth? Or was that the lie?
Dear God, please tell me.
And she says, that's the truth.
Holy sh!
What happened was her father was going on a first date, single father, going on a first date with this woman. They get back to her place. And later that night, the woman's ex-husband came in and killed both of them. Crazy. That's all that happened. So we all just sat there in the room hearing the story. And what do you say to that? Like, all right, let's go watch the movie we were planning on watching tonight.
It's called Stabbed in the Back. I mean,
I saw what you did last summer. That's what it is. That's pretty much the story.
Jeez Louise.
Bro.
Yeah,
It's funny how for like some people that would be like so soul crushing, deflating, and some people are like intrigued and like would ask more questions. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. There's not much else to it. She told the climax and the build up, and there it is. And now that I come to think of it, I think it was only after she told that she asked my girlfriend, so how did your dad die? And my girlfriend was like, cancer. Like fighting whose death was more.
Definitely brings a new meaning to like my dad can beat your dad up.
Yeah.
Jeez. Anyway, so that's the episode.
No, that's a short one. I got another one. So the other story comes from a man named Morty. Shout out. Morty lives around the eastern Sierra Nevadas, which sounds like Reno to me. But we were all there. How long ago? 8 months ago or so.
It was in July 20th.
Okay.
When we went to Tahoe.
Yeah. We went to Lake Tahoe.
Remember how Sean drove 12 hours to hang out for 12 hours?
Yeah.
You said I wouldn't, bro.
And then he drove back 12 hours.
That's how we get Sean. We say, you won't, and he does it.
He, in fact, does.
Yeah. No, it was a great time. We spent 3 days there out on the lake, soaking up the sun on this beautiful dock, just jumping off the dock into the water, just hanging out with all our friends, campfires at night, and hiking and swimming during the day. But it's a heavily forested area, and Morty frequents these mountains from spring until late fall. And he takes his trail dogs with him. The whole time in the story, he talks about his trail dogs and how they're so experienced. And at the end, he talks about, or he says that his dogs are Dachshunds.
Dachshunds?
Is it Dachshunds?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Dash heads.
Anyway, they're the hot dog dogs.
It's Dachshunds.
Wiener dogs.
Oh, yeah, the wiener dogs.
That is so upsetting.
Well, I was looking a little more into it, and apparently they were originally, and still are, in some cases, bred to hunt
What?
like small,
Hunt,
like
rodents.
mice?
badgers.
What?
Yeah.
Badgers would F these dogs.
No, these go into the burrows and bring badgers out dead.
Oh, damn. Well, damn.
I'll believe it when I see it. That's
Yeah,
all.
I know. Because everyone that I've seen in real life is just a house dog, not a
Kind
killer.
of waddles a little bit.
Yeah, because badgers don't care. But yeah, he has 2 of them, and they go with him up into the mountains every time he goes up. But he remembers one specific time he got a tip for a trail that he's never been on, and it had good reviews from whoever referred it to him. And the first part of this hike is really steep. So all the times he's been to the Sierra Nevadas, he's never been to this specific hike. So he's excited. He's going through, and as he's maybe about an hour in, he's completely covered by the forest. And he can't see maybe 30 yards ahead or behind or around him. And as he's walking further, it starts to get a little clear, and he can see something through the trees. And it reminds me of you, Charles, about a month ago on your walk with MJ. And he can see like a structure, and he's slowly moving towards it. And he can see that it's a teepee, but without like the cloth around it. It's just the skeleton of it. So he approaches this teepee, and as he gets closer, he says that his dogs, who are typically running ahead of him, and he's constantly calling on them to stop or to wait, they are now glued to his hip. And they're not running around. They're not happy. They're kind of quiet. He thinks it's weird, and as he's getting closer, you can see there's nothing there, and he actually has pictures that he sent of this teepee. There's nothing, just looking at it, there's nothing abnormal about it. But one of the worst parts, he says, is as I got closer to this tree, all sounds of the forest stopped. I couldn't hear any birds. I couldn't hear the air. I couldn't hear the wind. I couldn't hear any other animals that previously were present with me. It was just the sound of my footsteps and the sound of my dogs. So he gets there, he takes a few pictures. He feels there's a kind of like a thick, like the air is thick, but he decides to kind of just press on and leave this behind. And not even 50 yards after this teepee, he says the weight of the air was so heavy that he couldn't move forward anymore. And this experienced hiker, with his experienced dogs, decided to stop his hike right there and turn around. Going up to the teepee, he had a walking stick. And it was a walking stick that he made himself out of aspen. And aspen isn't a type of tree, or isn't a tree that's native to that area. It's all kind of evergreen trees there. So he remembers right when he turns around that he left his walking stick back at the teepee when he took out his phone to take pictures. So he's already feeling very uncomfortable from whatever it is. And he says, "Oh, I'm going back anyway. I'll pick up my stick and we'll continue to head back." And when he gets to the teepee where he was taking pictures and where he previously left his stick, he can't find anywhere. And aspen, it's a white, the wood, or the color of the wood is white. And amongst these evergreen trees that are brown and green, he can't find his walking stick anywhere. So the minute or so that he was away from his teepee, he somehow lost it, or something else might have found it. But that day he never saw anything. It was just the feeling of the air. I don't know, the atmosphere there.
It's either like a bad presence, or he has some serious undiagnosed asthma.
I was thinking that, like, what causes the air to just be heavy? Like, to the atmosphere to be heavy around where you're at.
Yeah.
Did he have the pictures? Did he send you them?
Yeah, you want to see them?
Yeah. Yes.
Like I said, there, looking at the pictures, there's not much, really. It's just the teepee, and there's nothing else. So there's nothing like inherently creepy about it. Like, at least for me, looking at it.
It looks more creepy to me
Really?
that those are just all like standing up there in the middle, like, but for no reason. There's no like canvas covering it. It doesn't look like a shelter unless it's in the process of being built, which could explain why his wood was gone. I don't know, dude. That looks more creepy to me because it looks,
Like it doesn't like serve a purpose.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's all I got. Sorry, or no, for that story. Sorry. I have one more. All right, this one comes from a dude named Crash.
Dope.
It's good already.
Yeah, I believe you. He's from New Jersey, and
He would be.
he he starts out. I'm just thinking of like this Guido.
Oh. Laundry, tanning, something. Mom's cooking.
Mom's cooking, and my name's Crash.
Yeah.
Call me Crash.
Like Crash. You know that? No. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I had to liven it up. Let's do this.
He starts off his story with, to be honest, I don't know what I saw, but I have a distinct memory of seeing something. So when he was a kid, they lived near a large wooded area, and the park was right outside of this forest. And he said it was like a wall of trees. Right when you go past the tree line.
Was this the Pine Barrens?
No, the Pine Barrens is South New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Because at first I thought it might have been. Yeah, I'll get there.
Okay.
But he lives in northern New Jersey. But right when you go past the tree line, you're covered in trees. Going to the park, he would always go with his family. His favorite thing was the monkey bars.
Hey.
Yeah.
And as he grew a little older, getting closer to 8 or 9 years old, he started getting tired of the playground, and he became more interested in the forest. So there were a handful of times where he would kind of go off from the playground, and his mom would catch him and be like, "Hey, come back." And he would come back, running back. And every time his mom told him to come back, it only fueled his interest to venture further.
Well, if you name your
towards the
child
forest.
Crash,
You're gonna get
a little asshole.
Crash. At this point, he finds his opportunity where his parents, both of his parents, aren't watching, and he slips away. And he makes a break for the tree line. And for the first time, he steps into this forest that he grew up around this his entire life, but has never been in it. So he's excited, and he goes maybe 20 yards in, and he turns around, and he cannot see the playground. Can't see his family. He can't hear the kids playing. So he's in the thick of all of this. He continues to walk further into the forest until he hears a cracking of a branch ahead of him. And he stops and he listens. And as he stops and listens, it sounds like whatever was making that noise also stopped to listen to him. So after a little while, after there was some quiet, he thinks it's okay. He takes a few steps forward, and he's able to see through the trees. He says, "I remember looking up and seeing no more than 20 yards ahead of me stood, well, something. It stood upright like a person, but instead of clothes, it had pale sand-colored fur. It was about 9 feet tall and looked down at me with orange eyes. I wasn't scared by it, but I remember it stared at me. And in a distinct voice, it said, 'You're not supposed to be here.' And at that moment, he turned around and walked straight back to the playground.
Say no more, fam.
Saying, I'm a head out. But he's never been back inside. he and his family continue to go back to that playground, and he never felt that desire to go back into the force, which makes perfect sense. But
9 feet tall? That's terrifying.
He was what, 8 or 9 when this happened?
when you're 9, everything's 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking. But
Bro, what if it was like his dad or something? Just dressed up in something.
Teach him a
Be like,
lesson.
you better be listening to your mom.
You're not supposed to be here.
Okay.
I didn't like the sand-colored fur.
Yeah, that's kind of crappy.
That's weird to me. I don't know. Bigfoot should be dark. That's all I'm saying. I don't know.
Like, what else?
the Bible says. Yeah, just a handful of short stories.
Cool, man.
But
Creepy.
But it's creepy how all of our stories had something to do with like the woods or like outdoors.
yeah, pretty much.
Ooh. Are we cutting it?
I'm cutting it.
We done?
That's it for me.
All right, guys. That was fun. It's been it feels like it's been forever since we recorded.
Yeah, it does, dude.
So it's nice to get back. Everyone out there, thank you so much. Send us your stories. We love it. Sean, thank you for the Patreon story this week.
Yep.
Hilarious.
Go listen to it, y'all.
And yeah, with that,
To all of you out there, trust your gut and watch your back.
bye, love you, be safe. Who misses, dog?
Be careful out there.
Boy.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of 3 a.m. If you want to support us, visit our Patreon where patrons have access to exclusive content. If you're not able to support us monetarily, don't worry. This episode is on us. You can still rate and review us on whatever platform you listen to us on. It really does go a long way. You can also follow us on social media. Our handle everywhere, including Patreon, is the 3 a.m. pod. Finally, do you have any scary stories? If so, submit them to our website, the3ampodcast.com. We love any audio or visual aids that can help bring your stories to life. So file uploads are welcome with your written submissions. We're anxious and excited to hear from you.